The massive space station slowly turned in the void, its silver surface reflecting the light from nearby stars. Inside the Grand Assembly Hall, creatures from across the galaxy gathered around a circular table that could seat hundreds. The air hummed with different languages and the soft glow of translation devices. Commander, Thex adjusted his scaled body in the specially designed chair and looked at the holographic display floating above the table. His reptilian eyes scanned the star map showing the latest territorial expansions across the galaxy. As the military strategist for the Saurid Empire, he had seen many worlds conquered and many battles fought. But today something puzzled him. The quarterly expansion report shows interesting patterns, Ambassador Quillen announced. Her insect-like form clicked and buzzed as she spoke. As the leader of the Hive Diplomatic Corps, she had access to information from thousands of worlds. 17 new systems have been claimed this cycle. Trade routes are expanding. Resources are being secured. Admiral Vorth's crystalline body shimmered as he leaned forward. The Geode Fleet commander's voice sounded like wind chimes when he spoke. Our scouts report that most valuable systems now have clear ownership. Military presence is established on strategic worlds. Thex nodded but kept staring at one particular section of the star map. A small blue dot marked a planet in what humans called the Sol system. The planet appeared completely unremarkable, yet something about it bothered him. What about this world? Thex pointed at the blue dot with one clawed finger. The planet shows abundant water, diverse life, and sits near 3 major jump points. The location alone makes it valuable for trade and military operations. The other council members turned their attention to the small planet. Quillen's compound eyes studied the data streaming beside the hologram. Initial scans show primitive technology. No space fleet detected, no orbital defense platforms, no energy shields protecting the surface. The dominant species appears to be bipedal mammals, Admiral Vorth added, reading from his personal scanner. They have basic nuclear technology and simple chemical rockets. Their most advanced weapons are crude by galactic standards. Thex frowned, his forked tongue flicking out briefly. That makes no sense. Look at the resource scans. Abundant rare metals, fresh water, diverse ecosystems perfect for colonization. The system has asteroid belts rich in minerals. And those jump points make it a perfect staging area for expansion into 3 different spiral arms. Ambassador Quillen's antennae twitched as she accessed deeper files. The historical records are strange. This planet has been known to major powers for 847 galactic cycles. Yet no one has ever claimed it. Impossible. Admiral Vorth said, his crystal body flashing brighter. In 8 centuries, someone would have taken such a valuable world. The Kryn Empire alone has conquered 40 systems with fewer resources. Thex stood and walked closer to the hologram. His military mind analyzed the data like a puzzle missing pieces. The Zartek Confederation passed near this system during their expansion wars 200 cycles ago. They conquered every inhabited world in their path. Why would they skip this one? Perhaps they found something that made conquest unwise, Quillen suggested. Like what? Admiral Vorth challenged. Our sensors show no advanced technology, no hidden defenses, no signs of powerful allies. The inhabitants seem completely unaware that galactic civilization even exists. Thex pulled up more historical files. His claws clicked against the control surface as he searched through records. Here. The Mordak Empire surveyed this system during their golden age. They noted the planet's value but never returned. The hegemony of Kresh had scouts in the area 50 cycles ago. Again, they identified the world as valuable but took no action. Fear? Admiral Vorth wondered aloud. Fear of what? Thex demanded. These creatures cannot even travel to their own moon without basic chemical rockets. They have no allies we can detect. Their weapons could not scratch our hull plating. Ambassador Quillen accessed her hive's collective memory, searching through millions of experiences. My people's scouts have observed this world from a distance. The inhabitants fight among themselves frequently. They pollute their own environment. They show no signs of unified government or advanced strategic thinking. Then why, Thex said slowly, has no one in 8 centuries ever tried to conquer them? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Around the circular table, representatives from dozens of species considered the puzzle. The tentacled philosophers of Rigel Prime whispered among themselves in their fluid language. The silicon-based minds of the Crystal Coalition ran probability calculations. The warrior clans of the Outer Rim growled and clicked their approval for investigating further. "There must be something we are missing," Admiral Vorth finally said. "No world remains unconquered for so long without reason. Either they have hidden defenses we cannot detect, or they possess something that makes conquest unwise. Or," Thex added grimly, "every major power has learned something about this world that they chose not to record in official files." Ambassador Quillen's wings buzzed nervously. "My hive suggests a simple solution. We send stealth probes for detailed observation. If the world is truly defenseless, we can easily claim it. If there are hidden dangers, we learn without risking major assets." "Agreed," Admiral Vorth said, his crystal body dimming slightly. "My fleet has advanced reconnaissance ships that can observe from beyond their detection range. We map their true capabilities before making any moves." Thex nodded slowly. His military instincts told him that 8 centuries of avoided conquest meant something dangerous waited on that blue world. But his logical mind saw only primitive creatures with basic technology. "Very well," he decided. "We investigate. But carefully. If every major power in galactic history has avoided this world, perhaps they knew something we have yet to learn." The council members agreed to the plan. Within hours, invisible ships would begin their journey toward the small blue planet. Advanced sensors would map every settlement, every military installation, every possible threat. They would solve the mystery of why such a valuable world remained untouched for so long. As the meeting ended and the various species returned to their ships, none of them noticed the tiny device attached to the station's hull. The device had been recording their conversation. Soon, a signal would travel faster than light toward a small blue planet where primitive creatures waited with patient smiles. The hunt was beginning, but as Thex would soon learn, sometimes the hunter becomes the hunted, and sometimes the most dangerous prey is the one that looks completely harmless. Dr. Park Minho looked up from his computer screen and rubbed his tired eyes. The numbers on his monitor had been bothering him for 3 days. As the lead xenobiologist at Seoul National University, he spent most of his time studying theoretical alien life forms. But these energy readings were not theoretical. "The patterns are too regular to be natural," he muttered to himself in Korean, then switched to English as his assistant entered the lab. "Professor Park, the readings are getting stronger," said his graduate student, pointing to the detection equipment. "Whatever is causing these energy spikes is getting closer to Earth." Park stood and walked to the window overlooking Seoul's busy streets. Cars moved through traffic while people went about their normal lives, completely unaware that something was watching them from space. He picked up his secure phone and dialed a number that only a few dozen people on Earth knew existed. "Captain Kim Nari, we have a problem," he said when the call connected. Across the city, Captain Kim Nari was already suiting up in her black uniform when her phone rang. As the South Korean Space Force liaison, she had been expecting this call. The hidden sensors around Earth had been detecting unusual activity for 72 hours. "How many ships, Dr. Park?" she asked while checking her sidearm. "At least 3, possibly more. They are using some kind of stealth technology, but their energy signatures are still visible to our quantum sensors. They are definitely not human." Captain Kim nodded grimly. "Meet me at Location 7 in 30 minutes. Bring all your data." Location 7 was a building that looked like an ordinary office complex in the Gangnam district. But beneath the building, elevators descended much deeper than any normal structure would require. Captain Kim arrived first and used her biometric identification to access the underground levels. The command center buzzing with activity as technicians monitored screens showing the entire solar system. Professor Lee Dongyan was already there, studying tactical displays with the intensity that had made him famous as South Korea's youngest military strategist. "The probe ships entered our outer detection grid 6 hours ago," Professor Lee reported without looking up. "They are scanning our major cities, military bases, and industrial centers. Standard reconnaissance pattern." Captain Kim sat down at her command station and began typing rapidly. "Have they detected our real installations?" "Negative. The camouflage is holding. They see only what we want them to see." Dr. Park arrived 20 minutes later carrying a case full of data drives. Agent Yu Jiwan met him at the security checkpoint and escorted him to the command center. Agent Yu's job was intelligence gathering, and her network of contacts extended far beyond Earth. "Doctor, your timing is perfect," Agent Yu said as they walked down the corridor. "We have been tracking these particular ships for 3 weeks. They belong to the Galactic Council." "The Galactic Council?" Dr. Park asked. The same organization that contacted us 50 years ago. The very same, Captain Kim confirmed as they entered the command center. They are finally getting curious about why no one has ever tried to conquer Earth. Professor Lee turned from his tactical screen and smiled. It seems our gray man strategy has worked too well. We appear so weak and primitive that they cannot understand why we remain unconquered. Dr. Park set down his case and looked around the advanced command center. Holographic displays showed real-time positions of every ship in the solar system, including the cloaked alien scouts. Advanced computers tracked millions of data points from sensors hidden throughout space. Remind me again why we chose to hide instead of joining galactic society, Dr. Park said. Engineer Choi Hyuk looked up from his workstation where he had been designing new weapon systems. Because we learned that in galactic politics, the strong conquer the weak. Better to appear weak while building strength. Captain Kim called up a historical file on the main screen. When the Altair delegation first contacted us 50 years ago, they explained how galactic civilization works. Powerful species expand by conquest. Weak species get absorbed or enslaved. There is very little middle ground. So we chose the third option, Professor Lee added. Appear weak while secretly becoming strong. Let everyone assume we are just another primitive world while we study their technology and prepare our defenses. Agent Yu pulled up intelligence reports from across the galaxy. The strategy has worked perfectly. We now have hidden colonies on 17 worlds. Our technology equals or exceeds most galactic powers, and no one suspects that the primitive humans pose any threat. Dr. Park studied the alien ship positions on the tactical display, but they are getting suspicious now. What changed? Success, Captain Kim said simply. We have been so successful at appearing harmless that it has become suspicious. Every other valuable world in the galaxy has been conquered. Our continued independence is an anomaly that demands investigation. Engineer Choi brought up another display showing Earth's hidden defenses. We have been preparing for this day. Every asteroid in our belt has been converted into a weapons platform. Our moon base is fully operational. The orbital defense grid can handle anything short of a full fleet invasion. And if they send a full fleet? Dr. Park asked. Professor Lee smiled coldly. Then they will discover that humanity has been very busy for the past 50 years. Our ships may look primitive, but they carry technology that would surprise our galactic neighbors. Agent Yu received a message on her communicator and frowned. We have new intelligence. The Galactic Council is planning to authorize a test attack. They want to see what happens when someone actually tries to conquer Earth. Who will they send? Captain Kim asked. Probably the Kryn Empire. They are aggressive, expendable, and stupid enough to volunteer for a dangerous mission. Engineer Choi cracked his knuckles and turned back to his weapon systems. How many ships can the Kryn bring? Intelligence suggests a small fleet, 3 or 4 battlecruisers at most. They think that will be enough to conquer a primitive world. Professor Lee laughed and shook his head. After 50 years of preparation, they send 4 ships. They have no idea what they are walking into. Captain Kim stood and addressed the room. All right, people. This is what we have been training for. We knew this day would come eventually. Time to show the galaxy that Earth is not as defenseless as we appear. Dr. Park looked around the room at the confident faces of his colleagues. Are we really ready for this? Agent Yu smiled and pointed to the tactical display showing hundreds of hidden defense platforms surrounding Earth. Professor, we have been ready for this for decades. The only question is whether the galaxy is ready for us. The room fell silent as everyone contemplated what was coming. Soon, alien ships would attack Earth expecting easy conquest. Instead, they would encounter defenses that had been 50 years in the making. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one you never see coming. Admiral Krex of the Kryn Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship and stared at the small blue planet growing larger on his main screen. His gray skin was marked with the ritual scars that showed his many victories in battle. Behind him, his crew of warriors prepared their weapons with eager anticipation. Such a small world to cause so much curiosity, he said to his second-in-command. The Galactic Council makes this sound like a great mystery. I see only another primitive planet ready for conquest. His 3 battle cruisers moved through space in perfect formation. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Their shields could withstand direct hits from most galactic weapons. Admiral Krex had conquered 12 worlds with smaller fleets. Admiral, we are approaching the outer system, his navigator reported. No defensive ships detected. No orbital platforms visible. No energy shields protecting the planet. Admiral Krex smiled, showing his sharp teeth. As expected. The Galactic Council worries about nothing. These creatures cannot even defend their own skies. But something was wrong. As his ships moved past the outer planets, his navigation officer began reporting problems. Sir, we are experiencing minor course corrections. Something is affecting our guidance systems. Probably solar interference, Admiral Krex said dismissively. Continue toward the planet. On Earth, General Baek Sung-ho watched the alien ships approach from his command center buried deep beneath the Korean mountains. His weathered face showed no emotion as he observed the tactical displays. Behind him, dozens of technicians monitored every aspect of Earth's hidden defenses. The Kryn ships have entered the outer defense grid, reported his tactical officer. Gravitational mines are beginning to affect their navigation. General Bayek nodded. The gravitational mines were Dr. Han Yerim's invention. Invisible devices that created tiny but persistent gravitational fields, designed to slowly pull ships off course without being detected. Phase 2, he ordered calmly. Dr. Han Yerim looked up from her quantum physics console. Activating disruption satellites now, General. Around Earth, hundreds of satellites that appeared to be simple communication devices suddenly changed function. They began broadcasting quantum interference patterns that would gradually disable alien faster-than-light drives without triggering any warning systems. Admiral Krex was becoming irritated. His ships had been forced to make 17 course corrections in the past hour. His weapons officer reported minor targeting errors. His communications officer complained about static in their transmissions. What is causing these problems? He demanded. Unknown, sir, his chief engineer replied. All systems check normal, but we are experiencing minor malfunctions across all departments. Minor malfunctions do not matter, Admiral Krex growled. We are here to conquer a primitive world, not to worry about small technical problems. His ships entered the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. To Admiral Krex, it looked like any other collection of space rocks. His sensors detected nothing unusual, but General Baek knew better. The enemy fleet is now in the primary kill zone, reported his weapons coordinator. All asteroid platforms are armed and ready. Hold fire, General Baek ordered. Let them get closer. We want them to commit fully before we reveal our capabilities. The asteroids around the Kryn fleet looked completely normal, but hidden inside the largest rocks were weapon systems more advanced than anything the Kryn had ever seen. 50 years of human engineering, combined with secretly acquired alien technology, had created defenses that no galactic power expected. Admiral Krex was starting to feel uneasy. His ships were now experiencing constant minor problems. Navigation errors, targeting difficulties, communication static, and power fluctuations had become routine. Yet his sensors showed nothing threatening in the area. Sir, I recommend we maintain position and scan more carefully, his second-in-command suggested. Nonsense, Admiral Krex snapped. We are Kryn warriors, not frightened children. These technical problems are coincidence. We continued to the planet, but when he gave the order to advance, nothing happened. His chief engineer's face had turned pale. Admiral, our faster-than-light drives are offline. We cannot leave the system. What? Admiral Krex spun around to face his engineering station. How is that possible? Unknown, sir. The drives show no damage, but they will not engage. We are trapped in normal space. For the first time, Admiral Krex felt a chill of fear. His ships were stranded in an alien system with no way to call for help or retreat. He looked at the tactical display showing the harmless blue planet ahead of them. Sir, his weapons officer called out, we are being scanned. Multiple sources, very sophisticated. Someone is targeting us. From where? Admiral Krex demanded. I see no ships, no bases, no platforms. The answer came in the form of massive energy beams that suddenly erupted from what had appeared to be empty space. The asteroids around his fleet revealed themselves to be weapons platforms of incredible power. Energy shields that had been invisible moments before now glowed with deadly force. Admiral Krex's flagship shook as its shields absorbed the first volley. But these were not the primitive weapons he had expected. These energy beams were more powerful than anything in the Kryn arsenal. Return fire, he ordered, but his weapons officer looked confused. Sir, we cannot get a targeting lock. The enemy positions keep shifting. They appear to be using some kind of stealth technology. More energy beams struck his ships. The second cruiser reported shield failures. The third cruiser was completely disabled and drifting powerless. "Sir, we are surrounded," his tactical officer reported with growing panic. "There are weapon platforms throughout this entire asteroid field." "We flew right into a trap." Admiral Kreck stared at his main screen in disbelief. The harmless asteroids had transformed into a deadly maze of hidden weapons. His 3 mighty battlecruisers were being methodically destroyed by an enemy he could barely see. "Send a distress signal to the Galactic Council," he ordered desperately. "Sir, our communications are being jammed. No signals can leave the system." Admiral Kreck sank into his command chair as the reality of his situation became clear. He had brought his fleet to conquer a primitive world. Instead, he had flown into defenses more sophisticated than anything he had ever encountered. His second-in-command looked at him with fear in his eyes. "Admiral, what do we do?" Admiral Krex watched another volley of energy beams disable his remaining weapons. His proud fleet was now completely helpless, floating in space at the mercy of an enemy that had appeared from nowhere. "We pray," he said quietly, "that whoever built these defenses is more merciful than we would have been." On Earth, General Baek allowed himself a small smile as he watched the alien fleet surrender. The test was complete. The galaxy would soon learn that Earth was not as defenseless as it appeared. Commander Thex received the distress signal from Admiral Krex 3 hours after it was supposed to arrive. The message was brief and terrifying. "Under attack. Trapped. Send help immediately." Then nothing but silence. In the Galactic Council chambers, emergency sessions rarely lasted more than a few hours. This one had been going for 2 days. Representatives from every major power argued about what could have happened to the Kryn fleet. 3 battlecruisers do not simply vanish, Admiral Vorth insisted, his crystalline body flashing with agitation. Either they were destroyed or captured. Either possibility is disturbing. Ambassador Quillen's compound eyes studied the latest sensor data from the Sol system. "Our long-range scans show the Kryn ships are still intact. They appear to be drifting near the planet's asteroid belt, but they are not responding to communications." "Then we mount a rescue mission," Commander Thex declared. "I will take a full battle group to investigate. If some unknown force has attacked our allies, we must respond with overwhelming strength." 6 hours later, Thex's rescue fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. 5 heavy cruisers, 10 destroyers, and 2 carrier ships loaded with fighter craft. It was enough firepower to conquer most civilized worlds. "Sensors detect the Kryn vessels," his tactical officer reported. "They appear undamaged but completely powerless. No life signs aboard, and no sign of whatever attacked them," Thex observed grimly. "Deploy the fleet in defensive formation. Maximum shields, all weapons ready. Approach the disabled ships carefully." As his fleet moved deeper into the system, Thex felt the same unease that had troubled Admiral Krex. Small technical problems began appearing. Navigation errors, communication static, minor power fluctuations. Nothing serious, but the pattern was disturbing. "Sir, we are being hailed," his communications officer announced. "The signal is coming from the 3rd planet." "From the planet?" Thex was surprised. "I thought these creatures lacked space communication technology." "The signal is using perfect galactic standards, sir. They are requesting permission to come aboard for negotiations." Thex stared at the blue planet on his main screen. Everything about this situation defied logic. "Put them through." The face that appeared on his screen was clearly one of the primitive bipeds, but something about the creature's calm confidence was unsettling. The being spoke with the measured tones of a seasoned diplomat. "Commander Thex of the Saurid Empire, I am Dr. Park Minho of Earth. We regret the unfortunate incident with the Kryn fleet. We would like to discuss the situation and arrange for their safe return." Thex's scaled jaw dropped open. "You know my name and species. You speak our language perfectly." "How is this possible?" Dr. Park smiled politely. "We have been monitoring galactic communications for several decades, Commander. We are quite familiar with galactic civilization. Perhaps it is time for a proper introduction." Before Thex could respond, his tactical officer called out an alarm. "Sir, multiple contacts appearing throughout the system. Ships are decloaking all around us." On the main screen, what had appeared to be empty space suddenly filled with sleek spacecraft. Dozens of vessels materialized from nowhere, surrounding Thex's fleet in perfect formation. The ships were clearly advanced with hull designs unlike anything in the galactic database. Admiral Song Tai-hoon's voice came through the communication system with calm authority. "Commander Thex, I am Admiral Song of the Terran Defense Force. Your ships are currently surrounded by our fleet and targeted by defensive installations throughout the system. We have no hostile intentions, but we suggest you remain stationary while we discuss the situation. Thex looked at his tactical display in growing horror. The human ships had appeared from nowhere and achieved perfect positioning before his sensors detected them. His supposed rescue mission had become another trap. "This is impossible," he muttered. "Our intelligence reports showed primitive technology. No space fleet. No advanced weapons. Your intelligence was incomplete," Dr. Park said from the communication screen. "We have found it useful to maintain that impression." Ambassador Quillen's voice crackled through the fleet communication system from her ship. "Commander, our sensors show massive energy readings from what appeared to be asteroids. The entire belt has been converted into weapons platforms." "How long?" Thex asked Dr. Park. "How long have you been deceiving us?" "We prefer the term selective disclosure," Dr. Park replied. "We have been aware of galactic civilization for 53 Earth years. We chose to observe and prepare rather than immediately announce our presence." Scientist Lim Subin appeared beside Dr. Park on the communication screen. "We have studied your technology extensively, Commander. In many cases, we have improved upon it. Our defensive capabilities now exceed those of most galactic powers." Admiral Song's tactical display showed Thex's fleet completely surrounded. "We mean no harm to your people, Commander, but we cannot allow aggressive actions against our world to go unanswered." "The Kryn fleet attacked you first," Thex protested. "The Kryn fleet came here to conquer us," Captain Kimnari said, joining the conversation. "We defended ourselves. Their crews are unharmed and will be returned safely." Thex realized he was dealing with something unprecedented in galactic history, a species that had successfully hidden their true capabilities for decades while secretly building overwhelming defensive strength. "Why?" he asked. "Why hide? Why not join galactic society openly?" Professor Lee Dongyun answered that question. "Because galactic society is based on conquest, Commander. The strong take from the weak. We chose to appear weak while becoming strong. It seems safer than engaging in constant warfare." "You could have allied with peaceful species," Ambassador Quillen suggested. "Which peaceful species?" Agent Yu Jiwan asked pointedly. "The ones that were conquered by the hegemony? The ones absorbed by the Federation? The ones that became client states of various empires? We studied galactic history, Ambassador. True independence requires true strength." Engineer Choi Hyuk brought up a holographic display showing the extent of Earth's hidden defenses. "We have spent 50 years preparing for this day. Every approach to our world is monitored and defended. Our technology is specifically designed to counter known galactic weapons systems." General Bayek Sungho's image appeared on the screen from Earth's command center. "We offer you a choice, Commander. You can report back to the Galactic Council that Earth is under the protection of a powerful but peaceful civilization, or you can test our defenses further and learn why the Kryn fleet sent a distress signal." Thex looked around his bridge at the worried faces of his crew. His fleet was trapped just as surely as the Kryn ships had been. But these humans were offering him a way out with dignity intact. "What do you want from the galaxy?" he asked. Dr. Park's expression became serious. "Peace, Commander. We want to be left alone to develop our civilization without interference. In return, we offer our protection to other worlds that face conquest by aggressive powers." "You would protect others?" "We have been doing so for years," Admiral Song revealed. "Several worlds that you believe are primitive or uninhabited are actually under our protection. The galaxy is not as simple as your maps suggest." Thex realized the implications of what he was hearing. Earth was not just defending itself. It was potentially changing the balance of power in the entire galaxy by protecting weaker species from conquest. "The Council will want proof of your claims," he said finally. Scientist Lim Subin smiled. "Commander, you are surrounded by proof. Your rescue fleet is as helpless as the ships you came to rescue. The only reason you are still alive is because we choose to let you live." The truth of that statement settled over Thex like a cold weight. His powerful fleet had been neutralized without firing a shot. These humans possessed military capabilities that made galactic powers look primitive. "What happens now?" he asked. Dr. Park's expression softened. "Now, Commander, we begin a new chapter in galactic relations, one based on mutual respect rather than conquest. We think you will find it refreshing." 6 months later, the Galactic Council chambers had a very different atmosphere. Where once there had been constant discussions of conquest and expansion, Now the representatives talked about defense alliances and trade agreements. The change had begun the day Commander Thex returned with news that would reshape galactic politics forever. Professor Lee Dong-hyun stood at the main podium, addressing an audience that included military leaders from 47 different species. His presentation on defensive asymmetric warfare had become the most requested lecture in galactic military academies. The key principle, he explained to the attentive crowd, is that appearing weak while remaining strong provides strategic advantages that direct confrontation cannot match. When your enemy underestimates your capabilities, you control the terms of engagement. In the audience, Commander Thex nodded approvingly. The Saurid military leader had become one of humanity's strongest advocates since his encounter at Earth. His own empire had abandoned its expansion plans and was now focused on developing better defensive strategies. Dr. Han Yerim occupied a special laboratory on the Council space station, where she worked with alien scientists to develop new technologies. Her quantum disruption systems had revolutionized defensive warfare, and several species were adapting human innovations to protect their own worlds. The remarkable thing about human technology, she explained to her mixed species research team, is that it was designed specifically to counter known galactic weapons. We studied every major military system in the galaxy and created defenses that could neutralize them. Her assistant, a young crystalline engineer, held up a small device. Dr. Han, will you share the gravitational mine technology with the Outer Rim colonies? They face constant raids from pirates. Of course, Dr. Han smiled. That is exactly why we developed these systems. Not for conquest, but for protection. Agent Yu Jiwan had perhaps the busiest job of anyone in the new galactic order. Her intelligence network now spanned dozens of star systems, identifying worlds that needed protection from aggressive powers. Her office on Earth received requests for help almost daily. Agent Yu, we have another situation, her aide reported, bringing in the latest intelligence briefings. The Mordak Empire is planning to attack the agricultural worlds in the Centauri sector, 3 planets with purely civilian populations. Agent Yu studied the reports and smiled grimly. The Mordak Empire is about to learn what the Kryn learned. Send word to Admiral Song. We have another lesson to teach. Admiral Song Tae-hoon commanded the largest fleet in human history, though most of the galaxy had never seen it. His ships remained cloaked and hidden, positioned near vulnerable worlds throughout space. The Terran Defense Initiative had become the galaxy's most effective peacekeeping force. Admiral, the Mordak battle group is approaching the Centauri colonies. His tactical officer reported from the bridge of his flagship. They have 15 heavy cruisers and expect no resistance. Then they will be surprised, Admiral Song said calmly. Deploy the fleet. Time to show another empire that conquest has consequences. The Mordak attack lasted exactly 17 minutes. Like the Kryn before them, they found themselves surrounded by ships they could not see and weapons they could not counter. Their fleet was disabled without a single shot being fired at the colonies they had come to conquer. General Baek Sung-ho watched the operation from Earth's command center with satisfaction. The Terran Defense Initiative had prevented 12 attempted conquests in 6 months. Word was spreading throughout the galaxy that aggressive expansion was no longer safe or profitable. General, we have a communication from the Galactic Council, his aide reported. They want to formally recognize Earth as a major power and offer us a permanent seat on the ruling council. General Baek considered the offer carefully. What are the obligations of council membership? Mainly diplomatic responsibilities and participation in major policy decisions. No military requirements. Accept the offer, General Baek decided, but make it clear that our primary commitment remains defending worlds that cannot defend themselves. Dr. Park Min-ho had traded his quiet laboratory for the center of galactic diplomacy. As Earth's first official ambassador to the Galactic Council, he spent his days negotiating treaties and establishing protocols for the new era of galactic peace. Ambassador Park, Commander Thex said, as they walked through the station's diplomatic quarter, your species has accomplished something remarkable. For the first time in galactic history, aggressive expansion has become more costly than peaceful trade. Dr. Park nodded thoughtfully. That was always our goal, Commander. We never wanted to conquer anyone. We simply wanted to make conquest too expensive for those who did. The transformation had been remarkably rapid. Major powers that had built their strength through expansion were now forced to find other ways to grow and prosper. Trade alliances replaced military conquests. Defensive pacts replaced territorial wars. Scientist Lim Subin received visitors from across the galaxy who wanted to learn about human defensive technologies. But she was careful about what information she shared. Earth's strategic advantage depended on maintaining technological superiority. The key to our success, she explained to a delegation of peaceful species, was that we spent 50 years studying galactic civilization before revealing ourselves. We knew exactly what we were defending against. Engineer Choi Hyuk had designed weapon systems more advanced than anything in the galaxy, but he found greater satisfaction in his new role. His defensive platforms were being installed around vulnerable worlds throughout space, creating safe zones where peaceful species could develop without fear of conquest. It is better to build shields than swords, he told his engineering students. Shields protect the innocent. Swords only create more wars. Captain Kim Nari commanded the growing Earth diplomatic fleet, escorting ambassadors and negotiators throughout the galaxy. Her ships were visible symbols of human presence, sleek and advanced but clearly defensive rather than aggressive. Captain, we have reached the Altair system, her navigator reported. The delegation is ready for transport to the surface. These were the same aliens who had first contacted Earth 50 years ago. Now they were coming to sign a formal alliance with the civilization they had once dismissed as primitive. The impact on galactic culture was profound. Military academies that had once taught conquest strategies now focused on defensive tactics. Engineering schools developed protective technologies instead of weapons of war. Even the aggressive Kryn Empire had transformed itself into a peacekeeping force under human guidance. Admiral Krex, the same commander who had led the failed attack on Earth, now served as Admiral Song's deputy in the Terran Defense Initiative. His knowledge of aggressive tactics made him exceptionally effective at countering them. Admiral Song, the hegemony of Kresh is showing signs of planning another expansion war, Admiral Krex reported during their weekly strategy meeting. Their fleet movements suggest they intend to attack the mining colonies in the Vega sector. Then we will be waiting for them, Admiral Song replied. The galaxy is learning that the age of conquest is over. It is time for an age of cooperation. The transformation was not yet complete. Some powers still believed in expansion through force. Some species still sought to conquer their neighbors. But each failed attempt only strengthened the new paradigm. The galaxy was learning that humanity's defensive revolution had changed the rules of civilization forever, Professor Lee Donghyun concluded, his latest lecture with words that had become famous throughout known space. The strongest fortress is not the one with the biggest walls. It is the one your enemy never sees. And the greatest victory is not conquering your enemy. It is making your enemy choose not to fight. In the audience, representatives from dozens of species nodded in agreement. The galaxy had learned that sometimes the greatest strength comes from appearing weak, and sometimes the most powerful weapon is the one you never have to use. Earth had remained unconquered for 8 centuries not because it was weak, but because it was wise. And in teaching that wisdom to the galaxy, humanity had achieved something greater than any military victory. They had created peace.